We good?
We're ready.
We are ready. Wow, what a great crowd. Before I call this meeting to order, we will say a prayer.
Lord, as we come to the end of another school year, we thank you for all the wonderful things that we've been able to celebrate throughout. We also thank you for the teachers, staff, and retirees that we are honoring this evening. Please continue to watch over us and help us to make wise decisions for our students and schools. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I'll call this meeting into order. Tonight's a pretty special night, and so because it's so special, I didn't want to misspeak, so I wrote out a little something. So if you could bear with me and my presentation skills, but so tonight's school board meeting is one I will always remember. I've been fortunate enough to serve on the school board for 6 years, and I can honestly say this meeting is one of the most meaningful to me. We have so many reasons to celebrate this evening and give thanks. Tonight, we will recognize the PTO presidents for all that they do for our students and our staff. We'll celebrate the support staff of the year, teachers of the year. We'll honor Franklin School retirees who have a combined experience of 231 years. In case you're wondering, I don't know how many of those each one of you have, but nonetheless, 231 years. So lastly, I would like to celebrate and with a very heartfelt thank you to all of those who assisted in passing the referendum. This would not have been possible without the many volunteers who knocked on doors, put out signs, wrote notes, made calls, talked to neighbors, talked to friends, gave the same presentation 100 plus times, answered tough questions. I put that one there for me. You guys may have answered tough questions, but I know I did my part there. And the list goes on and on. It is because of that great effort and the support of our community that we are able to provide additional compensation to our support staff and our teachers that are well-deserved. And thanks to our community that believe how important it is that we provide additional mental health initiatives to those students who otherwise couldn't receive it. People often ask me why. Sorry. Okay. Why I became a school board? Quite simple, my parents. Many of you may know my parents. Don and Carol Wirtz. Sorry. I owe everything to the teachers who taught me at school and the two teachers who raised me at home. I'm blessed to be raised and nurtured by, sorry, can't even read my own writing now. By two teachers. So maybe that didn't work. So
Mr. Wirtz, yeah. I know how you feel.
Yeah. So we'll scratch that. It really wasn't because of my parents. So my grandmother, who this all goes back to my grandma, who was not able to go to college for herself for a number of reasons, but understood and valued education and was determined that her kids continue their education after high school. She had 4 kids, and each one of them became teachers. So I have a family of aunts, uncles, cousins who either are or were working in education, from support staff, teachers, principals, superintendents, and even one who served as Indiana Superintendent of Public Instructions. Needless to say, teachers make awesome, inspiring, nurturing family members. Educators make incredible friends. They are wise, humorous, and humble. Teachers are amazing coworkers. They are a beautiful collection of personalities who I rely on daily. We laugh, we cry, we get the job done. If you taught my kids, or you teach one now, please know that you are always seen and always appreciated by the Wirtz family. I'm so sorry. I won't watch this back. This is why I wrote it out, because there's no way I could. As I think about all the retirees that are here today, I can't help but think about all the kids that were educated by you. I wonder how many of those kids were either directly or indirectly inspired to become educators themselves. Teachers are inspiring. With that said, I would like to introduce, where I just need to get the spotlight off of me. Clearly, I do not do this very well. I would like to introduce our state representative, John Young, for special recognition this evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Board members, thank you for having me here tonight. Today, I am proud to present a special award from the governor's office to two of Franklin schools. Who contacted me to get the ball rolling on this. Basically, I am allowed to nominate a couple of individuals each year for this award. And Ryan alerted me, in knowing some of the other circumstances with Franklin, to a couple of very worthy people. This is that I am presenting the Circle of Corridon Award, and this is presented by the governor's office by Mr. Eric Holcomb. And this is for Hoosiers who have made remarkable contributions to the betterment of Indiana and its people, demonstrating through life and services qualities exemplified by the state's greatest citizens. Notice I wrote that down because I wanted to make sure I had this right for who I'm presenting it to. But I would please ask for Deborah Brown Nally and Jeffrey Mercer to please stand up. I'll come to you. Thank you. And I think you can tell why you were nominated for this award. But I am proudly here to present with you from the governor's office the Circle of Corridon Award. It's now Mr. Mercer. I don't think you guys were told about this prior to tonight. If you'd like to say a few words, I'm sure you're more than welcome. But thank you for your service, obviously, to the schools, to the state of Indiana. And again, your services have been exemplary. Thank you very much.
Deb says she can't talk. In the 20 plus years that I've known her, that is the first time. Dr. Clendenning told us this morning we're going to have a special presentation. I had no idea. So thank you very much, Representative Young. We are honored. And I know I speak on behalf of Deb and all the retirees from that perspective, because they could just as easily be up here as we are. How blessed we were to choose Franklin as a place to work. For me, there's been a lot of reasons beyond the obvious for Deb as well, but this is a special community. You know, I'm going to speak at graduation in a couple of weeks, and that's what I'm going to tell the kids. And I hope they understand that. I hope they understand 350 strong. This is a really great place to raise kids and to grow up and always call home. And on behalf of both of us, we've been blessed to be here. And thank you very much for this honor. It's a great honor. Thank you.
No, we're going to do another. You get to stick around a little bit more. Keep the mic. Well, it's my turn to talk. So I'll probably follow Brian's lead here.
You can't blame my parents for that one.
No, I can blame mine though, right? No, but I just want to say thank you to Jeff and Deb as well. 10 years ago, we moved here, and actually, Jeff was the first person I met during the interview process.
And you still think
I did. And I remember the day that we were traveling around and just connecting, and I got to know a little bit about his backstory because in your interview, you try to investigate things. And it was the first time I learned about the Mercer family and all that they mean to Franklin. And I was just very fortunate to come and be a part of that team. One of the first things we did was actually drive around. If you remember this, I said, well, show me the district. And man, it was big. But you know, the greatest thing about that was connecting with Jeff for that time and many times over the next 10 years about helping lead the district. You know, one thing about being a leader, the best part is get people around you to make things work really well. I couldn't ask for a better right-hand person to make life go well. And it's been bumpy at times. Man, nobody would have wished what happened when we first started, when Governor Daniels knocked and said, hey, we need $900,000 back. Like, dang, that's a lot of money. But Jeff has been stalwart. You know, in life, you hope you can run across someone that leaves an indelible mark on your life. And this man has done this for many people across not just Franklin, but Indiana and across the nation. And there are those stories that we're all going to hear and be able to share. But from the bottom of my heart and from my family's heart, Jeff, I thank you. And from the school, we have a small token of appreciation. We just want to say thank you for your 21 years of service and the many wonderful things you've done for us. Thank you very much. So when Deb was at Northwood and then when I joined the team, and once again, Jeff, we started looking around for people. We talked about, after that first year, getting the right people on the bus in the right seat and that good to great journey. And we actually interviewed for an assistant superintendent, and Deb was on the committee. And we interviewed and we went through and didn't find the right person. So Jeff and I were actually talking, like, the right person's here. It's right across the street. So I go across the street and say, Deb, don't you want to join our team? No. I said, Deb, it's great. So then I came back. I said, Jeff, it's your turn. So we convinced her to come across the street and join the leadership team of our school district. And it really has been a journey of good to great. We've had so many accomplishments along the way because of the efforts of these two, but Deb leading the curriculum and assessment instruction charge. Our teachers are great teachers, but their instruction is better because Deb had a hand in guiding them. When the state said you had to change your evaluation system, which was silly to begin with, but that's another story, Deb took on that charge and said, okay, we can make it Franklin's way. And we did. Our system looks like us, not like something the state gifted us with. It is because of Deb and her visionary leadership on that. But there's so many stories about helping kids that needed that extra love, that extra hug, or that teacher that needed someone to talk to. That was Deb. That was Deb who you'd go and say, can I talk to you for a second? And she'd say, yes. And she'd give all of her time for that. And when difficult times came, Deb was always there with a smile. And that's the thing that I'll remember a lot of the journey, is that Deb smiled about everything, even when it was really hard to smile. And there were some times like that. But Deb was there smiling. And so we just thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've had a leadership team that's been amazing because of the two of you and the other members of my team. But I just thank you for helping lead this district. You guys did a phenomenal job. And I think the final exclamation mark was last Tuesday. Overwhelming support from our community to say thank you to you. Thank you to the teachers and thank you to our district for what's been accomplished. We have a lot more to do, but you'll be able to look back and you'll know that you made a difference. And so on behalf of the board and everybody, I say thank you, Deb. And one last ceremonial event. This is where I told them they had to go with the flow. So far, it's going pretty well, right? Actually, at this time, we're gonna officially pass the baton. We're gonna ask Deb and Jeff to come and sit in the front row. And we're gonna have Brooke and Tina come up to the central office desk area here. And at this point in time, Tina will now be the CFO, and Deb will pass off to Brooke as the assistant superintendent. So welcome and thank you to both of you.
All right.
One more thing. We do have nameplates.
Oh,
And Jeff and Deb, yours got thrown away. Natalie was so excited they were leaving, she threw them away. So, but welcome. Thank you, Mr. Wertz.
well, you're up again.
Okay, actually,
Don't sit down.
yep.
Go with the flow, right?
That's right. All right, here it is.
I can hardly speak. Okay. The best part of these meetings is the student and staff recognition. And we will start tonight by recognizing Students of the Month from Central 9. We have Aaliyah Reed, Kirsten Snyder, and Kirsten Van Winkle. If you're here, if you come forward, please.
Come in. There you go. All right. So we're going to ask you a couple questions.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but you get to talk too, and then awesome. So talk about your program at C9 and also introduce anyone that is with you in attendance tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, I'm Kirsten Snyder. My mom's here with me, and my boyfriend Alex is here with me too, and I just embarrassed him, so that's cool. I'm a part of the work-based learning program at Central 9, so we are the Franklin Community PM class, and we get to do internships all year long. So one day a week we go to the high school here for 6th and 7th period for a class about professionalism. And then the other 4 days a week we get to go to our internships, and I'm interning at Purdue Extension, Johnson County, and I get to work with the 4-H program, which this is my 10th year in it, so it's been kind of special to get to work with that this year.
Outstanding. We're going to get a picture with Mr. Wertz, and it's a good time. So where we're going to go right up front. Okay. Right here, we're going to stand right here. Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we would like to recognize Mr. Toole and his students representing the middle school band. If you'll all come forward, we're happy to announce that the middle school band was awarded the All Music Award through the Indiana State Music Association for the 2018-19 school year. Congratulations to the talented young musicians and the music staff for their outstanding musical accomplishments this past year.
We're going to go over. Yep. You go, come right here. Congratulations. You guys have had another phenomenal year. And we're going to have you introduce yourselves. And when we get to Mr. Toole, he'll talk a little bit about the program and how we won this award.
Hi, my name is Maddie Stillbauer.
Anybody come with you tonight?
Oh, yeah, my mom Beth brought me.
Hi, I'm Lily Wilson, and I'm alone.
Hi, I'm Garrett Meehan, and my mom brought me.
My name is Zane Khan, and my mom brought me. My name is Gavin McKay, and my mother brought me.
I'm Jim Toole. I'm the band director. I drove myself. This award, the Indiana State School Music Association, or ISMA, created this award 5 years ago to recognize band programs that are successful in all of the areas of the ISMA events. What really makes this special is this award is really dedicated to the teamwork of the kids, the parents, the school, everybody coming together, working hard, because it is an all-round kind of event. One other thing that makes this year even more special is that the kids worked hard and they exceeded all of the minimum requirements to earn the award. So kudos to the kids. They're great kids to work with, and the banner is just a result of all of that.
All right. We're going to scoot this way a little bit more for a picture. Here's paparazzi. So we're at the. Yeah, wait. Congratulations. Well done. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks for coming. Congratulations. Thanks, Jim. Well done again. Here, I'll take the mic and yeah. All right.
Next, from the high school, we'd like to recognize students who participated in Business Professionals Association. These students recently participated at the State Leadership Conference and competed in a variety of areas. When you come up, if you'll be prepared to tell us what area in which you competed. Students that competed were Belma DeEric, Matt Ditton, Abby Nagel, Abby DeArmit, Owen Mahan, Rachel Pinnick, Scarlett Friend, Logan Lancer, Armin Nukachik, Isabel Mahan, Kendall Myrise, and Damon Dickey. Belma went on to nationals and placed 8th. And if their sponsor, Stephanie Andrew, would also come forward, please. Congratulations.
Stay here. Come with this one. I'm getting there. There you go. Thank you. I think I may have passed you. That's my right. Nope, there you are, Kendall. Okay, come on up. You can talk first, Coach.
Well, these are a few of my BPA students. We had several this year, and I think 13 of them advanced to state. And how they advance to state is they have to do a regional competition and place in a certain number there. And they all did, and they went to state, and we were successful at state. So I just want them to kind of tell you what they did at state and what competition they competed in, but they did a really good job.
Hi, I'm Armin Nukachik. I competed in small business management. I placed 3rd.
Hi, my name is Matt Ditton. I competed in the banking and finance competition, and I'd like to thank my sponsor, Miss Stephanie Andrew, for giving us both the skills and confidence to start our own business in online marketing, as well as succeed at BPA State.
My name is Belma DeHerrick, and I competed in the event of entrepreneurship where I formed my own original business. I ended up exceeding to nationals and placed 8th.
What's your business?
Interior design.
All right.
I'm Kendall Myrise, and I was on the network design team, and I placed 3rd at state.
Well done. I'm going to give you that. We're going to get a picture. Scoot this way. We got it. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job, Matt. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks. Next from the high school, we would like to recognize students from Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America and their sponsor, Mrs. Barbara Torrey. Two of our FCCLA members competed in state projects category at the 2019 Indiana Family Career and Community Leaders of America State Leadership Conference. Join me in congratulating our two medal winners, Jessie Short and Maria Stansbury.
Were you? Yeah, okay. There you go. You can talk about your competition, and you might introduce your sponsor as well.
My sponsor is Miss Tori, and I competed in 3 competitions in the State Leadership Conference. I did Focus on the Basics, Beyond the Basics, and Career Investigation, and I won 2 golds and 1 silver.
Congratulations. Can we get a picture? Come on up. We'll have Mr. Word's in here. Congratulations. Well done, Jessie.
Thank you.
Once again, great job. Yep, you take that one. All right.
Next, we'd like to recognize members at the Indiana State Music Association's state conference finals last weekend. Both groups were awarded second place overall in the state. Bella Voce placed second after a tiebreaker had to be given, as the 2 top choirs received the same score. Signature Sound also just missed out on the state title by 1 point to a school with over 600 members. They have student representatives here along with their sponsor, Mr. Michael Hummel.
First, I have to ask, what's the tiebreaker for?
You would need a degree in NASA.
So really, you're state champs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Congratulations. We'll just pass the mic down, and then we'll get to Mr. Hummel. He'll talk about your performance.
I'm Olivia Fraser.
I'm Jasmine Savage.
I'm Sydney Ladd.
I'm Tyler Klopecki.
And I'm the director, Michael Hummel. This year, the choir has done some really great things with 2 state runners-up. We've never done that before here. And the show choir is placing 4th and winning a grand championship this year. Again, doing second place is just so close to get there. You have to get through the regional round. And so about 160 groups out of the state compete to make it into the top 8 groups for the women and top 16 groups for the mix that then compete for the state championship. And, to get always to the second place is just, you're on your edge of your seat, just hoping to get called grand champion. But second place is really great. And to do it so tightly really just shows how great of a competitive spirit these students have. They compete against schools that are 2 times as large as us, and just always put themselves in contention for being some of the best in the state. So super proud of them, super proud of their efforts. Now, with Representative Young, I told the entire House chamber that we were going to bring home some more state championships, and I'm so close. It's like, I told them, I said, well, when we come back next year, when we win again, and well, I guess we got 2 more chances for show choir, so we'll see what happens next year before. But put me on the spot on there, having him here today. So.
Director Hummel, I think you guys are doing a fine job, and hopefully we'll bring you back. But earlier this year, well, the rule is you got to win. It's just how it works. That's what he said. But I did have the pleasure to pass a concurrent resolution with the state Senate earlier this year. Excuse me. And it was towards the end of session, and it was to honor all of Franklin's show choir programs. What they have accomplished over the last several years is phenomenal. They are essentially now recruiting students into the district that want to participate in the show choirs. So there's 7 of them, I believe, that I think were honored in the resolution. So that passed unanimously. And I may be a little partial, but I believe it was one of the top 3 resolutions that we had in the House this year. I spoke with Michael, and we made arrangements where we probably had 60 or 70 of the students at least file into the House chambers. And I don't know if anybody's been up there or seen it. It can be a little crowded, but we had them all circling around as a horseshoe, and with the speaker's great indulgence, they allowed the choirs to put on a performance of, I believe, The Blessing, and it brought people to tears in the State House, and that is no kidding. The acoustics are great, but my gosh, the voices, it was truly fantastic. By the end, the speaker was smiling. I think he liked allowing you guys to do that. But I just want, these are the written copies of the resolution as well. Co-sponsors on that were Representative Burton and Representative Frizzell, along with Senator Walker. So again, we hope to see you up there again next year. And it was a very, very fun experience. And thank you very much.
We're going to slide this way and get a picture.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Mr. Representative Young, we get to stay in the picture, please. Yep. I don't know, we got a Robin's the paparazzi. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Sorry.
Hey, thanks. Thank you. Well, did you drop the trophy? Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well done. Well done. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Next, we'd like to recognize Megan Green. Megan was awarded a $10,000 Power Communities K-12 education grant through the Duke Energy Foundation. These dollars will be used to bring STEM into our summer school program. Gene Rank with Duke Energy and John Young, Indiana State Representative, will join us to present the check.
I'm busy.
Gene.
Thank you.
I'll hold the check.
Oh, sure. It's a real honor to be here today. I'm really very lucky. So thank you very much for having us. The work that Megan is doing is very important to Duke Energy. We have a commitment to education, but specifically to STEM education in particular. And the work of the K through 3rd grade is really critical. As the mother of a kindergartner myself, I can see his enthusiasm about space and wanting and asking more questions. So I really appreciate this work, and Duke Energy Foundation was very pleased to support the activities. So thank you for letting us be a part of it. Thank you.
Great. Are you want
You come behind.
All right, thank you.
Now that I'm somewhat composed, and before I pass the mic off to Dr. Clendenning, I just do want to thank Representative Young, Dr. Clendenning, and Ryan for the honor that was bestowed upon Jeff and I tonight. It's quite humbling. A lot of times people will ask, "What out of all your jobs over 33 years, what do you like best?" And I honestly answer, I have loved them all in different ways, but I have loved them all. And it's because of all the people standing in this room and who I've had a chance to work with over the last few years, have made this district such a special place to grow and develop with a career. So thank you again to everybody. And I'm going to pass it off to you.
Last week, we were able to honor Mr. Mercer again in the State Indiana Association of School Business Officials. Jeff was recognized as a leader, and he was the Business Official of the Year for our region. So I wanted to say thank you and give him the certificate. And this past week, we were also able to honor support staff and teacher of the year. So would both of those ladies please come forward? Support staff of the year is Paula Fleener. She works in our food service department, and she does a lot of creative things with digital media and bringing food alive for kids, but really sharing the message about eating healthy and being a student that food helps them in the classroom. So we want to thank you for that. And then Mrs. Bailey, a Spanish teacher here at the high school. She has a little bit of energy. If you did not know that, she does have some energy. But she's representing many outstanding teachers. I wish we could select multiple teachers of the year. But Mrs. Bailey shined brightly in her resume and her portfolio. And as a dad who's had kids go through her class, it's been amazing. She's definitely touched many lives. And we just want to thank you for that. And you're going to do great as you move forward in the next round of this. But you're representing Franklin quite well. If you guys want to say anything, you're more than welcome.
Sure. Thank you so much. I really am humbled by this honor. De verdad, me encanta, ¿verdad? 30 años, 30 years. I can't believe I've been doing this for 30 years. And I had all of Dr. Clendening's children, just so you know. But it truly is an honor, and I love working here. I love coming to work every day. Every day when I drive up and I see this gorgeous building, I am just truly humbled and grateful. So thank you.
Wow, I didn't expect to speak. So thank you. I was really shocked and also humbled to get this, and I couldn't have done it with all the great support of all of the rest of the food service and Jill.
I would also like to recognize the other teachers of the year from our other schools. And you'll please come up. So we have Ashley Pulcher from Needham Elementary, Mandy Beckert, Teacher of the Year from Northwood, Carly Hoagland. Carly had a big year. She was also co-chair of the referendum process. So Carly's at Union Elementary. Marcia Nolott, she's at Creekside. And who am I think that's everybody that's here tonight. And then Angie Andrews, support staff. Come on up. But it's a great group of individuals. That's a very fun night where we honor everybody. So congratulations to all of you. And we're going to slide over here and get one picture with everybody. Oh, was she? Adams. You can come up and help me with this one. This could be your last official.
Retirees.
Yep, retirees.
Come on up.
Uh,
Who else is here? Catherine Bishop, come on up. Jan
Jeff.
Henderson, come on up.
Jeff Miller.
Jeff Miller, come on up. It really is an honor to be standing next to these educators who I've had a chance to work with and for a long time, and to be, I'll be going out together. It's just kind of fun. Very proud of this group.
Do you might want to tell a story about anybody in these people? They're a great group, and we just want to say thank you for all the years of dedication. How many years? 230. 231. That's amazing. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you for coming tonight. We're gonna get a picture. Wait. Okay. And last but not least, we're going to recognize PTO presidents. So please come forward. Just two people. So we have Kim Locke and Alicia Sherry representing the group. But these ladies did phenomenal work this year. And they do so many things behind the scenes to help support education. But the one I want to highlight is actually a basketball game that took place in April. They brought in the Wizards, and I think it was an overwhelming success. It was fun to watch those athletes compete against our teachers. And we had a good time, and we raised a lot of money to support kids. So thank you for doing that. We really appreciate that. You guys gonna say anything? Yes, go right ahead.
Honestly, I could say a lot of things. I picked the right school board meeting to come to. I had Mrs. Kraus. She was not Mrs. Bailey, but you were not allowed to speak any English in that class. So I have fond memories of her, and you were lots of fun. I had Mr. Miller when I was an 8th grader, and we dissected our first, I don't even know what we dissected, pig. But everybody wanted Mr. Miller. Mrs. Brown Nally was our counselor. Well, no, she was my keyboarding teacher. And I remember she was like, Alicia, you can't memorize the paragraph. You have to find the keys. But I had so many of these people. And so now to be an adult and to be able to be part of such a great corporation, it means a whole lot to me. And to be able to work for PTO, not only as a teacher, as a parent, but as a friend to someone who's so great. Kim and I have been able to work together for a long time, and we work really well together. So when Rita asked me to be the middle school PTO president, I wasn't sure what that meant, but I knew that they were not receiving many kudos for what they do. And so as a teacher who gets pretty spoiled at Creekside, it was really important to me to try to do anything I could to make them feel appreciated. So that's why I love what I do, and I'll give it to you.
And I just want to say a big thank you to the corporation and all the principals and the schools for their support with that basketball game. It was a huge success. We blew our goals out of the water, and we raised, I just figured the total today, so Alicia doesn't even know this, about $21,000.
Wow.
So after expenses, the 7 schools will be splitting about $18,700, so about $2,600 a piece. So I appreciate the support. It's great for all the schools, but especially for the schools that really, really struggle to fundraise. So thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. We'll get a picture here.
Right on it.
No, that was funny. That was funny. Count on Mrs. Betts. Oh, Deb. Deb's going to be our new PTO mom in Central Office. Well, that will conclude all the recognitions, Mr. Wirtz.
All right. You're welcome to stick around, but now's a good time to take a graceful exit.
Smoke just goes.
Well, we did that blazing 40 minutes.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Jeff's already had his fill of dealing with PTO treasures. No, he's already dealt with them before. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That was fun. We will, at this time, open the floor up for public and board comments. If you have a public comment, I ask you to come forward. Limit your comments to 2 minutes on the agenda items. Seeing none, we will move on to board comments. Music Council.
Yeah, we met today, and along with the recognitions from tonight, the only other thing that we talked about was the Show Fest dates for next school year. Put this on your calendar. It's January 31st through February 1st. So, woohoo! Get excited for that.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all.
All right. Athletic Council.
No updates.
Legislative Council. Superintendent Strategic Task Force Council.
No report tonight.
All right. Superintendent Strategic Plan Projects.
we will have a report. We're pleased to announce a culminating activity with the employer of choice, and Mr. Mercer will be presenting discussion item here in a few minutes.
Great. Communication Committee?
Yeah, we met, the committee discussed some new ideas on how to engage parents, students, and the community in the thought exchange, not only at the district level, but also at each building level. Also discussed the referendum communication efforts, as well as ideas for the end of the year and back to school communications with parents and students. Communication checklists are being put in place to ensure that websites, voicemails, and other methods of communication are in place before we go on summer break.
Very good. Collective bargaining? All right, Central 9.
So the only update would be that they are, they have done interviews for a new executive director and they've got a candidate selected. And so they're doing the contracting now and we'll announce that probably next week. So.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. RDC?
Nothing that pertained to the school board, schools.
All right, we will move on to a consent agenda.
For approval.
It's been moved for approval. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, we will move on to the next item, superintendent reports. Referendum highlights, Dr. Clendenning.
Thank you, Mr. Wertz. Just wanted to just spend a few moments looking back over the last 6 months of this journey, and also to highlight a few people with a big thank you. First, I want to thank the steering committee. They put a lot of energy and effort into the journey. You know, we started back with Mr. Mercer talking to the board last summer about the need for this opportunity to prevail itself for us. And we looked at the cliff and all the things that were going to happen in our school district without some additional collaboration and support from our community. And we're very fortunate that the board said, yes, let's go on this journey. And then when we decided to go on the journey, we did engage, First Tuesdays to come in and help us with looking at communication and opportunities. In those early conversations, we heard the community supported the schools. They did have some questions about financial structure and management and some of those things. And we were able to answer those over the next 4 months. And I just, again, highlight Mr. Mercer and his success of the last 10 years of systematically navigating a very crazy world of circuit breaker, of financial change at the State House. Now that Representative Young's gone, it has changed substantially in funding. But we were able to prevail, and this was the right time for us to go ask the community. And with that, I just want to say thank you. In addition, I want to highlight a few people. Kyle Casting came on board early on. I believe it was in late summer. Mr. Mercer and I took Kyle to lunch, and we're picking his brain about the referendum process and about engaging community in conversations, and asked him to consider being a part of that journey. And he said yes, and he was outstanding. His leadership, his conversation points, he was able to see things that we would have not been able to see because it's our first journey. Throughout our many presentations, we said, we know school, Jeff knows finance. Tina was learning a lot about this as we traveled forward, but it was Kyle on the political side, Kyle on the communication side, Kyle sharing, steps that we needed to take, and it was very good. Also want to highlight the co-chairs of the committee, John Dittmers and Carly Hoagland, who put forth a lot of energy and effort as well, and Steve Beckman, the treasurer. Natalie Fleur did a phenomenal job on the volunteers. When it was time to rally people around on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturday mornings, Natalie was always there to help support that journey, and I want to say thank you to her. With that, so what are the next steps? Well, the next steps really will call for us to continue to solidify our plans. We know that the teachers and support staff salaries have come to fruition, but the money's a year out. But we are talking with the board and the teachers about that journey. And then on mental health, that was really something we need to continue to move forward on. And we're looking forward to that. So the committee is meeting on mental health to put the final pieces together. We do know there are a few positions out there that we'll be bringing forward to the board. But with that, those plans will come forward. We will have a dashboard on our website for the entire community to monitor and watch. And that'll be Mrs. Gross will have a chance to share that information each time we do a budget and each time we have a conversation about what's going on in our district with regard to referendum dollars. She will be there to share that with us. So we're looking forward to that journey. So with that, that's a real quick summary of the referendum. Mr. Mercer, anything else that I should add with that? Mrs. Gross? And I want to thank Mr. Lamb as well. Every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, from the moment we said yes to this till just this week, we had conversation with Mr. Lamb about the steps so that the board would stay intimately involved in the journey and we could have conversation about what was going on. So I want to thank Mr. Lamb for his time, energy, and effort. And I think the partnerships were amazing. After each presentation, I usually finished off by saying the referendum really is about 2 words. It's about collaboration and relationships. And I would tell everybody that that's what it ended up being, collaboration and relationships, that we value collaboration, we value relationships, and the people in this room and the teachers in our district and the support staff of the district put forth a great effort to finish it off and make sure that everybody understood what was going to happen when we won and what that means for our community. So I just say thank you and look forward to the next steps with this.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Clendenning. We will move on to iLearn assessment updates. Mrs. Worland.
I'm so excited. I get the most exciting item on the agenda tonight. And I know our colleagues in the back row and the back table are really excited about this as well. We still have a few buildings that are testing. The window does close on Friday, so we will complete iLearn assessment this Friday. The platform has been fairly easy to use, so we're pretty happy with the platform. I see some nods in the back as well. Some of the timing estimates from the state were a little off and need to be recalibrated. I see lots of nodding from the back as well. So hopefully that improvement will come into play in the next year. But really, with regards to iLearn, our superstars, many of them are sitting in the back of this room. And so I want to start with ISD. I know Maria's here, Matt is here, Doug is here, and Pam Kissel is not here, but other members of your team. If you guys could just stand up for a second, I want to say thank you. They are really a key part of this process. So let's say thank you. The other superstars are sitting at the other table in the back, here to my left. And our principals, our assistant principals, they're not here. I know Ben Carroll's not here. Chloe is not here. But to all of you, thank you for your collaboration, your communication, and your innovation. It was huge. And you lived out our guiding principles through these last few weeks. Keep doing it. We're almost there. But if all of you could please stand up. Stand up. I know. Great job. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of our students who persevered. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. FCH alumni, Mrs. Ott.
Yeah, this year for the Alumni Hall of Fame, we had 17 nominees with 6 new ones, which was wonderful. Our recipients for this year, the Alumni Hall of Fame, are actually a couple, Larry and Paula Neff. Lifelong friends and classmates Alice Richardson Goodland and Pat Banus Walters nominated Mr. and Mrs. Neff as nominees for this year's Hall of Fame. Larry graduated in 1960 and Paula in 1963, and they currently live in, I'm going to butcher this, Kosciuszko, Missouri, I think. In 1978, the Neffs opened up their first Lighthouse Children's Home. Today, there are 7 Lighthouse homes in 6 foreign countries: Costa Rica, India, 2 in Mexico, Panama, Thailand, and the Philippines. The homes have served over 1,500 homeless and abandoned children. The desire to provide a Christian home for the children was partially inspired by Larry's parents' death when he was 3 years old. He grew up from that time until the age of 17 in Franklin's Masonic Home Orphanage. They're now retired from leadership, but the Neffs still act as field representatives for the Lighthouse Children's Homes, visiting, supporting churches, and continue to visit each home yearly. We're looking forward to meeting them in August, so pretty good.
That's really neat. Thank you, Mrs. Ott. We'll move on to action items. Elementary Handbook 2019-2020. Dr. Iden.
Thank you. The only changes, there are two very small changes from the discussion item last month for the elementary handbook. One is choosing the word shall and in the disciplinary section. And the other one is we wanted to add a little bit of language per Mr. Sewell about the Stop It app and reporting via that. And so we added those two pieces from the discussion that we had last month. Other than that, it stays as it was.
All right, thank you. We will,
Move to approve.
sorry, I didn't realize we were on action items. Sorry about that. I just thought, okay, well, you'll just stand up there. We'll ask questions about that one word change. Sorry. Clearly, I need a president. So there's been a motion. Are there any questions or comments besides that inappropriate one? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to FCH Curriculum Resources. Mrs. Warland, please.
Okay, another action item. We presented this in April. ACP Chemistry is a new course for us, and so we need to adapt the textbook that we're using in that course. I think, Deb, we checked the other day. Do we have 35 students already registered for this class? 39 now registered for this class. That's amazing. In English 11, we're just swapping novels for that class.
All right. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to Needham and Webb Mitigation Systems, Mr. Sewell. And then you're also up for HVAC regulations.
Good evening. So as you know, as we have navigated through some of the environmental issues at Needham and Webb Elementary and consulted with our experts about that, one of the recommendations that we entertained was the concept of installing vapor mitigation systems in both of those buildings to kind of provide long-term assurance that vapors that have been found beneath the slab in the floor in those schools could not make it up into the indoor airspace. And so we retained Lancer plus BB to assist us in a design build contractor selection process. This past week, we opened those. We had one proposal. We opened that, and I submit that to you today for your consideration. We have been operating under a very tight time frame and have not finalized the contract documents yet, but we look forward to Roger's assistance in finalizing those yet this week, and I would just ask for your provisional approval of awarding the contract as reflected in those draft documents. I'd be glad to take your questions.
Any questions?
Jeff, only one question. So once the contract is approved, how quickly will they start the work?
They will be under fairly short timeframes to do the design work. And then once Lancer plus BB helps us accept the design work, they would be moving very quickly. The end point, the systems will have to be installed and proven operational before the school is back in session.
And is that realistic? That time
Yeah, I
frame?
believe so. As I've spoken with them, I believe they think it'll take approximately a month from the go once the design is approved.
Of the things that you said, you're still working out some of the details of the contract. What's the items that you're referring to?
It's just the finer points of the language and just again, it's our practice and rightfully so to have Mr. Young review our contract language. And so in spite of Mr. Lancer's best efforts, we just weren't able to get to that final stage.
Anything of significance?
I can answer that question. I did not receive the contract. Well, Mr. Sewell did not receive the contract, as I understand it, until this morning. I did not receive it until this morning as well. So I have yet to go through it. I don't know that there'll be any modifications or changes. It just needs to be reviewed. Historically, there usually are not too many modifications with these contracts. They are Form AIA documents. They're used in most all construction. They're very consistent. I am also familiar with this type of a contract, the constructor's construction manager, the design build contract. So I don't really foresee any changes or modifications, and there are no blank spaces, okay, in the contract that need to be filled in. It's just a matter of me having the few days that I need to review it just to make sure everything's the way it should be.
Very good.
Would you just remind the board, please, how we're going to pay for this? Maybe Ms. Rhodes.
So go ahead.
We requested and received approval from the DLGF for an amount up to $750,000 out of rainy day funds. And that would be not only for this contract, but for all the testing that's occurred in the last couple of months.
Okay. Very good.
And the winning bid price, do you remember that off the top?
It's $469,179.50.
Okay. How much roughly is each round of tests when we do that?
It's in the neighborhood of $20,000.
Okay. That's for both schools?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Schwartz, I should clarify. The earlier one was more expensive. This latest one was in that neighborhood.
Okay, that's fine.
The other
Just-
one was
I was
more
just
involved
curious.
just because of the additional work that was involved in the first one, the first time we did it.
All right.
As Mr. Sewell asked, I move to approve pending Mr. Young's review and approve of the contract.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to Needham HVAC renovations, Mr. Sewell.
Okay, at Needham Elementary, we have been working on maintenance and just evaluating all of the physical mechanics of that building. And again, with the assistance of Lancer. We learned that that system is aging and in need of some renovations, and we believe those should be pursued yet this summer. And so we worked with them to request proposals for that, and I'm submitting to you a contract to complete that work. The contract the bid process was structured to include a base bid and then 3 alternatives that allowed us to kind of evaluate the costs of various options and scope of that project. Upon seeing the bids we received, we are recommending that we accept the base bid and alternative 3. That totals an amount of $752,000. I have since receiving that bid and discussing that scope of work, we have identified $110,000 worth of deductions to that amount that will bring that cost down, and we will continue to work with that contractor to identify additional savings as we move through that process. But I would recommend that we proceed with that project for this summer.
Is this part of the GEO bond?
This is part of the GEO bond. It is not one that we anticipated. This has been related to ongoing maintenance we've had at Needham, and then also it was kind of reflected in some preliminary outcomes of the engineering review of the building systems, as we had Lancer plus BB retained the Circle Design Group to help us evaluate our mechanical systems, and this was one of the needs they identified.
Okay, thank you.
So that dollar amount is a fairly substantial amount that would impact that list that we developed for the GEO bond. So next month, if we could, just as a discussion topic, if we could bring that back in and see what's been bumped.
What's been
Yeah.
prioritized.
And we have a meeting for that very purpose. We've already begun conversations with Mr. Sprout and Mrs. Gross about that. And so,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we're quite aware that there's some trade-offs
reset.
with
Yep,
that decision, but kind of believe that it is the most pressing, one of the most pressing
Sure.
facility investments we have.
All right, it's been moved for approval. Are any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr.
One
Sewell.
one more question.
Sure.
Timeline for completion. Will this be done before school?
The contract specifies that they must be completed by July 30th. We have pressed, the awarded contractor is a company that has already done some work for us on a smaller scale at Needham, has done very good work, has been very timely and responsive, and we feel confident with the range of experiences that were reflected in their bids, and that they'll be able to complete that project on time.
So just brought up another question. So because of the other work that we're doing under the slabs, will that system be taken offline? And will that impact? So if you change that system, so our positive airflow stops,
Right.
is that going to impact any samples or any of the under slab work that we have going on?
No, that issue, that's a good question. That issue is primarily a precaution. The idea of keeping the building positively pressurized was a precaution, particularly while school is in session. We do not plan to have staff working in the building during any of this work just because of how.
Well, I'm thinking more, do we need to plan on exhaust fans or some sort of removal system to make sure that there's no inherent vapors that remain in that school as we turn the new system on? Let's get it
all
clean
of that
before we
work
turn the new
will
system
address
on.
that
Yeah.
inherently. The work itself will address that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, next item on the agenda is discussion items, employer choice. Mr. Mercer.
You know, probably 12 or 13 years ago, I can remember Darren Thompson challenging all of us to aspire to become the provider of choice and the employer of choice. And I thank the school board, Dr. Clendenning, and everyone involved for allowing us to move forward with that particular project. We have taken on the employer of choice over the last 18 months. It really involved 2 different committees with scores of folks participating. And I am pleased tonight to have the opportunity to share with you preliminary findings. Obviously, I've sent to you the executive summary and Friday notes last week. So tonight, you're going to get to see kind of an overview of the work that's been done. And we're going to talk about these items. Before I do that, though, I want to recognize a couple of folks that have worked really, really hard as our subcommittee chairs. We have 6 subcommittees. One of them was me with peer analysis. So we'll move past that one rapidly. Let me get to the wage and benefit analysis with Carissa Bratcher, very ably assisted by Jeff Bright, who stepped up and did a lot of work alongside Carissa. I don't know that I've ever seen 2 people do more work in a short period of time than those 2 have done. And you're going to begin to see that come to fruition. You'll see a touch of it tonight. The classified evaluation with Nikki Sargent. Thank you, Nikki, for all your work. Recognition group, Angela Jackson. Angela couldn't be here tonight, but her group has done some exemplary work as well. Personal and professional development area with Amanda Martin and Kelsey Casting. I know Amanda's here tonight. Just a lot of really unique and interesting opportunities for us. And then finally, the Human Resources Subcommittee led by Michelle Bright, and a lot of terrific work that Michelle has done. So thank you to all of you that are here tonight and all the work that's been done. Tonight, we're going to review the process quickly. We're going to introduce our key recommendation areas, and we're going to discuss steps for approval and implementation. Before we do that, and I'm going to go through these rapidly because we've been here a long time and I know you to move on.
I'm not in a hurry. You go retire or something.
Oh, yeah. Our mission absolutes, these were our cornerstones. These were actually developed by the first subcommittee, and I'll go through them quickly. Here are the things that we felt strongly needed to take place. So as these subcommittees did their work, these are the things that we kept in mind throughout. And every single meeting, these flashed on the screen. They probably lamented that fact, but I didn't want us to get very far away from them. Number one, a compelling vision that is well communicated and understood. Tonight begins that communication process. 2, a clear purpose and meaning. 3, mastery of roles and a focus on high performers. 4, highly collaborative environment, as Dr. Clendenning said before, we believe strongly in that. 5, a pioneer mentality where creating something isn't business as usual. 6, the will to create a culture of excellence. You know, it's one thing to talk about it and one thing to write it down on a piece of paper, and it's another to deliver it. And you're going to have the will to create a culture of excellence and keep it so that it's here beyond a year, 2 years, or 3 years. 7, a culture where crucial conversations are acceptable and expected. And finally, our developed strategy has an expectation of sustainability because, frankly, if you don't intend to sustain it, then there's really no reason to do it. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. This was our vision for owning great. Franklin Schools desires to cultivate a culture of excellence where people want to work, own great, serve as outstanding employees, and have long-lasting careers while influenced by the entire work experience. And it truly is an entire work experience. Our deliverable was tonight to be in front of you, providing the employer of choice, which is a tangible vision aimed at executing the strategy for attracting, optimizing, and retaining outstanding employees as evidenced by a formal written plan, which you have. So why do you become an employer of choice? Believe me, lots of work, time, energy, effort, and research was placed into this, and our folks did unbelievable amounts of work to come up with it. But number one, choosing to work and choosing to stay. It's a whole lot cheaper to keep good people than it is to go find new ones. And we want people to be here and we want them to stay here. We expect to reduce turnover and we hope to enhance loyalty as a result of what we're doing. I would stop and say this. I don't think I'm speeding out of turn when I say this. There's not a single school district in the state of Indiana that's done what you've allowed us to do. And as I told both of those subcommittees, you're going to get one crack at this and one crack only. And you better make it right. And I think that we're off to a great start. But if we do it right, it should reduce turnover and enhance loyalty. We want to replenish with outstanding employees. If you don't have a recruitment strategy, that's an issue in today's world because there's lots of opportunities for people. We should create a world where there's less stress and more fun. And this is a highly stressful environment with some of the fun things that I think we can pull off over the next several years. That should be enhanced. And then finally, an exciting environment. There's nothing like working in a place that's fun to be. Here's our value proposition. This is really about our people, valuing our greatest asset. And that's what these folks are, every one of them, 700 strong. They're our greatest asset. And when we approach life in that way, I think you have a great chance to succeed. And I do think last Tuesday was a commitment by the community to make sure that we value our greatest asset. Now it's our job through employer of choice to make sure that we deliver that as well. We have 6 key recommendation areas. I mentioned the subcommittee chairs. We did a peer group assessment, which we've been using certainly through the referendum. I know Tina will continue that into the future. A wage and benefit analysis beyond any that we have ever done. And you're going to see a snippet of that in a moment. Classified staff evaluation revision, that will be done in the fall and complete. This year we did our existing evaluation document, but not next year. Shaping and influencing performance through a comprehensive recognition program. Angela Jackson's area, you'll see that in a moment. Personal and professional development through current channels as well as CubQuest and collaboration opportunities for classified staff. And finally, human resources, education, and training program. Now you can see a snippet of some of the work that we've done, beginning with our peer group assessment. This is a look at the AHP that was done to prioritize the 12 variables from which we drew information. I collected information on 288 schools, every single public school in the state of Indiana. I have more information stored in one spot than you will ever want to have. Why anybody would do that, I have no idea, but I did it twice. Tina, you're on.
I don't know.
This is a look at that. This tells us what's most important to us in terms of how you're resourced and what's most important in terms of how you collect dollars to fund this thing. Our peer group assessment, this is a culmination of 288 schools through a weighted process using the AHP and our prioritization. Greenfield Central is a school in the state of Indiana. It looks most like us, followed by West Clark and Seymour down south, Plainfield, Bedford, Martinsville, and so on. Here's a look at our wage and benefit analysis. I have offered you the opportunity to take a look at any of our Google Drive where all that information is stored in one spot. As an example, Carissa and Jeff took a look at every single classified staff member that we have in our district. There are 49 pages of spreadsheets where each of them has been analyzed and recommendations have been made in terms of where they should go. This is a little bit of a snippet. They were able to collect data from about 18 or 19 different peer institutions, looked at every single position that we have on our classified side and ran an analysis of where we stood relative to our peers. In many cases, it was not a pretty sight, as the board knows, and they've offered recommendations for how this might work. I will tell you their work continues on. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing for them. I guess you'll have to ask them. But we are going to be looking at the compensation model to see if any alterations need to be made. We will use this data in terms of our referendum increase for next year, but also for long-term compensation models. This is a little bit of the information that they have received and used to project for the areas that they looked at over a period of many months. They did unbelievable work. Some notes on our classified staff evaluation. In large part, I think most of our folks felt like half of our evaluation right now was pretty good. They'll probably retain about half of those. And what Nikki has determined is that individual areas will then assemble an additional list of questions and areas that are germane to their area. It's very difficult to evaluate a bus driver and a central office staff member on the exact same document. They have different jobs, they have different duties. And so this will allow our departments to customize those as they see fit over the course of the fall and next year. Performance and recognition program, they came to us with 4 recommendations. The 4 are listed. You have the opportunity to read a little bit more about them in the executive document. I won't go into each, but certainly there's some good things there. I would highlight number 4. One of the areas, and I think Steve Ahaus probably mentioned this to me before, you know, it used to be in our world, Coke dollars were there to really fund our schools. Coke dollars have been cut back tremendously. Commissions have been drastically dropped. Alterations have been made from Coke and even through us in terms of nutrition and so forth. And so we generate fewer dollars. Something we want to make sure we give principals the opportunity to do is to have some dollars available to do special things with their employees. And so those principal packs are either dollars generated through our innovations monies or things that the principals want specifically that we can begin to provide them. Personal and professional development. This is a phased in program. You're going to see multiple items over the next several years. We've talked about anything from financial wellness. We've talked to multiple vendors across the country and probably locked in on them, to book studies, to expanding wellness, to lunch and learns, you name it. Amanda Martin is set to run this. And if Amanda's involved, you know it's going to be high energy, and I think it'll be really good stuff for our folks. I'm especially excited, not that I'm not excited about all of them, but the HR education and training, there are 11 items. Again, for Michelle, this will be a phased in process from HR boot camps to help supervisors and managers know how to evaluate, train, discipline, whatever it might be. New hire orientations, a new look on our HR page on the website, take a more active role in educating folks financially, and just a litany of items that have some really good stuff. Let me tell you what they were required to do and what you're seeing in your executive summary. Each of these groups was required to put together a recommendation document so that you would be better able to see what they're recommending and the process that it moves through, what the expectations are. And probably as important as that one, at least to me, is they all had to put together a control plan, which will allow, as you'll see in a moment, that the individual that's entrusted with delivering this will allow that individual to monitor this into the future and to create the expectation that we said these are the things we're going to do, so deliver them. Final steps. We're going to review the recommendations and determine which, if any, should be removed, postponed, and then formally approve the plan in June of 2019. So that we've got a month for questions and comments and anything else that you might have. Secondly, I think it's time for us to determine who is the oversight champion, the role to manage the total employer of choice implementation. In my opinion, if we don't have somebody entrusted with oversight, this thing will go away in a year and a half. And there's no point in doing that. And so somebody's got to be in an oversight capacity. Then allow the oversight champion to finalize implementation planning for each of the 6 areas, including the individual owners. Embedded in this step, we'll be finalizing the budget, creating a communication strategy for all phases of the project. Budget is mocked up and ready to go, but it needs the finishing touches. 4, the oversight champion will then begin working directly with each project owner to fully implement the work outlined in the proposal, and that will be that person's responsibility moving forward. And then finally, control plan reporting to the school board no later than May 2020 to let you know how we've done and what we intend to do next. That's a really quick snapshot of 18 months worth of work. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
But Jeff, first, thank you for your leadership, your process, focus on this. I think Mr. Thompson would be pleased with the results.
Thank you.
I think you heard what he wanted. You definitely delivered something based on data and not by that gut reaction that we've always done it this way. So well done, and well done to the team for that.
Thank you.
The questions I came here tonight, you've already addressed. I think I agree with you. Item number 2 has got to be that most important next step that I would look for your team to say, who is, in the Six Sigma terms, who is that process owner that's going to take this and maintain it as we go forward. I agree 100%. If we don't have that a year from now, it'll be dead on the paper that it's written. But I think that you have an opportunity that I didn't see in the detail that you shared with us last week, that each one of those subsections could also have process owners. And you may already have those folks identified. I just didn't get that out of there. And so I think we ought to leverage their expertise as well to, each of those sub control plans that how those groups could focus on it, reporting into the, as you call it, the oversight champion. So well done. The details, what you shared last week, very well done.
Thank you.
No other comments, questions? Thank you very much to the entire group that's here that helped put this together. This is very impressive. I'll tell you, you made a good point. There's probably no other school that's doing that in the state of Indiana. And I can't speak for other people, but I know my company doesn't do anything like this, and they should. And so I would imagine there's a lot of companies that don't do this. And so it makes me proud to know that we all care that much, and we're going to try to do the right thing for our staff. So thank you.
Thank you. They're worth it.
Yep, without question.
I just have a question. What the heck was Jeff doing the last 18 months? This referendum.
Right.
Well done. Very nice.
All right. Moving on to handbook 2019-2020, Mrs. Warland.
We just talked about, thank you, Dr. Hayden, the elementary handbook. We now have CBIS, the intermediate school, and the middle school handbook changes for you. You will notice there is a link to the handbook, but also to a document similar to what Dr. Hayden did, where we have just the changes outlined. Primarily, and this is consistent across the 3 documents, we have aligned the discipline policies with those released and approved by the board through ISBA. You will also notice again, as Dr. Hayden mentioned, a reference to Stop It as well, our new reporting software. And then in intermediate, yes, as well, there is a reference to the seat belts that we have a bus now with seat belts on it and students using those seat belts. So those are the key pieces of those documents. They will then be on the agenda next month for action item.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. We'll move on to K-12 textbook rental fees, Mrs. Warland.
Yes, the curriculum resources, rental and fees, we used a format similar to that we used last year, where we've just indicated where those changes are for the coming year. A couple of things I do want to point out. Matt indicated in Friday notes this past week, the Chromebook rental for 9th and 5th, that fee is in there. It will be consistent across those 4 years. And I believe last year when we adopted, we talked about how those fees can shift and change based upon whatever the product is that we adopt that year. I also want to note that the Project Lead the Way fees have been added. Last year, we had some startup grants from Project Lead the Way as well as from the state. We're not eligible to apply for those again. We are going to continue that initiative K through 12 as we meet the state's mandates with regards to STEM and computer science in our curriculum. Those are highly popular and going well, so we're excited about some of the new things we're doing in that area. One other item of note is just the essential skills curriculum that we have finalized that fee structure as well. So again, this will be on the agenda for an action item next month.
Any questions, comments? All right, you're up again, Mrs. Moreland. Go ahead and move on to your next
All
one.
right.
Yep.
Next, and this one's very similar to the English 11 conversation we just had earlier in the meeting where we swapped out a novel. Again, it's at the high school. We have a course, English 348. It's a themes and literature course. And John Stevens, the instructor, is swapping the theme. So we're using a different set of novels. The topic will be reading monsters. It seems to be attracting a lot of student interest. So again, that will also be on the agenda next month for an action item.
All right. Questions? All right, thank you very much. 911, 911 dispatch agreement for Stop It, Mr. Sewell.
He took a call outside. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Clendenning.
This is just for your review. And as you know, as we move forward with Stop It, we've asked 911 to come in and be that first contact in. And so we've had the opportunity to partner with them. And I believe Mr. Young has looked at this. So we're just looking at having you review it one more time, and the next month we'll bring it back.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to board and administrative comments.
I have a comment.
Yep.
So I know we've showered a lot of praise on Deb and Jeff, but I just want to say again how grateful I am to both of you for what you've done. Like most kids lucky enough to grow up in this town, I've known Deb for 100 years. And as a student and an alumni, I've watched her progress through all these jobs and her many side hustles. And I even wanted to buy that cream one time. I don't need it, so I didn't. And through it all, I think what stands out about you and what just like really sort of has impacted me is the way that you treat people. You are so warm and welcoming and kind and down to earth. And everywhere you go, Deb Nally is known and loved. And that's because she makes everyone feel known and loved. And I just want you to know that the thing that also I'm really impressed by and will always be is that you have been the champion for our teachers. And in this environment we find ourselves in, where teachers are begging for respect and for someone to listen across the country, how blessed are our people in the back and the people in the trenches that are actually doing the work to have had you in their corner for the last 33 years. And so I'm heartbroken that you're leaving, and I'm so grateful for your service. And I'm gonna turn this way more. I thought you'd be here when I talk, but you're here, and so it's killing my vibe. And for Mr. Mercer, I had the privilege of being in the graduating class with the great Daniel Mercer, who was a baseball phenom, class clown, and a kid who had the brightest future. And so I also had a front row seat to watch his family deal with this unspeakable tragedy in a way that I don't get. And they had resilience and grit and determination and kindness and an unshakable faith. And that stuck with me always. And as a high schooler, I thought it was neat and kind of cool how they acted. But I'm a dad now. I have 2 kids. And so I will spend the rest of my life in awe of Pam and Jeff Mercer. And I want you to know that like you're both my heroes and I love you both so much. And you have impacted my lives in more ways than you'll ever know. So thank you for your service.
All right, well done. Any other comments? Administration?
I hate to even try to follow that, Ryan, but I would like to share with the board about school lunch pricing for next year.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's like,
We'll clap for you too, I promise.
Thanks for the lead-in,
you know
Ryan.
what?
Appreciate it.
That is, she's following right your example, right? That's, yeah.
The best part of the, what, hour and a half?
Now you know how he felt. all those years.
I do, definitely. So Mr. Mercer, Jill Overton and I met a couple weeks ago and to talk about school lunch pricing for next year. And we are recommending that we not raise the pricing for a few reasons. One, Jill and Paula have both done a masterful job of building up the savings in that food services account. So we're able to hold off the price increase for another year. And another observation that Jill had is that a lot of kids apply and receive free and reduced lunch, but those that are just below that salary level, and especially those with multiple kids, are struggling with the lunch prices. So we're going to recommend to hold off another year on raising those prices, and Jill will file an exception with the USDA to be able to do that. So with your blessing, we will move forward with that exemption.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Clinton?
On May 23rd, we are going to honor Jeff and Deb one more time from 3 to 5 here in the LGI room. So please bring your family, friends, and a bunch of Kleenex boxes as we honor them again with the reception for the community and to say thank you to Deb and Jeff.
Dr. Clinton?
Just calendar, a few things. We do have Memorial Day coming up. Last day of school is the 29th. Graduation on June 1st at 10 o'clock. And we are in the just a reminder, I believe you guys had graduation tickets. We've picked those up for you, or we made arrangements for you to have those. So if anybody needs them, please let us know and we'll make sure we gather those for you. The retreat, we just talked today. We are going to do the 10th with Dr. Halleck 2 hours before the board meeting, and then we will have our annual July retreat. And if we could, maybe after this, we'll get calendars out today to figure that out. Summer Cub Quest is coming on the 24th through the 28th. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of activities planned this year. How many students have enrolled presently?
We are 5 students. Most students first. A lot of courses are going on. Great courses.
That's exciting time. For you have a notebook. Those notebooks are what we passed out to the entire school community. It was Teacher Appreciation Week, but we said thank you to everybody. And we traveled the buildings with a journal for people to put their thoughts down or just to keep track of stuff or to write a story or whatever they want to do. But it's our way to say thank you to our teachers, our support staff for everything they do every day to make a difference. So we wanted to share that with you as well. Say thank you for what you do to help and lead our district.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll open up for public comments. If there are any. Seeing none, we will adjourn. Thank you.